Welcome to Taste Buds. I'm Debra Eckerling, goal strategist, writer, and foodie. And today I'm speaking with Chef Jeffrey Kollinger of Spice of Life Catering. Welcome, Jeffrey.
Hi, Deborah. How are you? It's so great to be here. Thank you so much. I'm honored and thrilled to be with you.
Oh, I love the enthusiasm and I'm excited to speak with you as well. So, your thing is catering, but you have this really vast background in the chef world. So, can you give us a snapshot?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the restaurant, hospitality, and entertainment business for about 45 years. I've been through the gamut from building hotels to building multiple restaurants to being in the catering, party production, and managed dining services business. So I'm one of the lucky ones. I found something that I really loved. People always say, if you find something that you love, keep doing it. And this is my life, and I absolutely adore what I do. I love the catering and party production business. And I got out of the restaurant business about right before COVID. I left my last restaurant and I started, but the catering company is 32 years old.
Awesome. So, what is it about catering that you love so much?
Well, I think part of it is that you have this joy of all of these life cycle events, right? Life cycle events are always so wonderful. There are bar mitzvahs and there's weddings and there's anniversaries, and these life cycle events are so they give you have an opportunity to meet so many people, and you go through generations and generations. So people who I did their bris or I did their bar mitzvah, I did their wedding. And then after I did their wedding, I did their kids' brises. And after that, sometimes even I was involved in the passing of some of their parents that I've known for 30 years plus. So I love life cycle events. I also like the opportunity to create from a to production side of food all types of different foods for all types of different people. And we at Spice of Life Catering call ourselves a la minute caterers. So we're on the spot. We like to create menus for our guests, create menus that are built around the client and what their love of food is. And we do 85 to 150 events a month.
Egats. And you still find time to eat and sleep yourself. So that's pretty awesome.
Well, it's the restaurant industry, right?
Right.
That's
And
why I
and y-
started out as a kid. I worked, I can remember the early days of restaurants. I worked, 3 in the afternoon till 4 in the morning, right? Till the restaurants closed and everything. So I think I have a pretty good life now.
well, and you would think, in the food industry, busy is good, not busy is the opposite of good. Yes?
Busy is great. Busy is fabulous. Busy is what we all want, and we want to keep it that way. So I'm humbled and grateful that I always seem to find something to do or some party to throw.
What do you think it is from your background that led you on this path?
Well, my parents were both gourmet chefs, gourmet cooks, and they had this huge Louis the 14th table in our dining room that sat 20. And they would have 10, 8, 10, 12 course meals. My dad was a wine collector, and my dad would cook and my mom would cook, and they'd have these incredible, beautiful place settings. They collected china, and this table was just gorgeous, and they had silver, and they did these incredible dinner parties all the time. And of course, Friday night dinner came every week, right? So we had Friday night dinner with the whole family. There was probably 20 or 25 people, 30 people every Friday. And then they did these lavish, gorgeous dinner parties for all their friends with beautiful floral and china. And I guess, out of all of that, I just found a love of food. And after going to school for management marketing, I fell into a really great job with a great company, and I just excelled in the food industry.
It sounds to me like you didn't have a choice. It was like nature and nurture everywhere growing up. Am I getting that right?
I think you're probably right. Yeah, I think again, I think I'm a lucky person to be able to tell you, Deborah, that I'm lucky that I love what I do. And I wake up every day and I really enjoy the food business, the restaurant industry, the hospitality. I love the production, the design. I love the whole part of it. I really do. It's my passion. It's my life. And I feel like I've had a great opportunity doing it.
So where does the Jewish piece come in? Where does that fit into the whole love of food background growing up amongst the chefs?
Well, obviously, from a bar mitzvah standpoint, I was able to, obviously, as bar mitzvah, but what's really interesting is about 12 or 13 years ago, I took over my first synagogue contract, and that was Shereth Israel. And I made a couple of notes for you here because I want to remember the dates. But I was bar mitzvahed in 1976. My wife was bar mitzvahed in 1983. My son was bar mitzvahed in 2016 and my other son in 2019. And we all stood in the same synagogue that I was bar mitzvahed in 48 years ago. And I was able to take over the food service. That was my first kind of managed dining contract for that kind of scope of work for a kosher kitchen, a place that I was bar mitzvahed 48 years ago. So I came full circle, and my kids are 4 generations Dallas. I'm 3rd generation Dallas. And I was able to start doing bar mitzvahs and really live in that world. And it was kind of life showing me that it came in full circle.
How was the food that you ate as compared to the food that you now prepare?
I think Jewish kosher food has always had this, you can't mix milk and meat. It can't be gourmet. It's only ribeye or a brisket or a short rib flap or whatever it is. You have to have fish, only fish with no scales. I mean, with scales, excuse me. And you have to have 2 different kitchens and 2 different equipment. I think kosher has been great. We probably have turned kosher upside down, spun it around, and really enjoyed making kosher gourmet food for a long time now. So I pride myself in making sure that people understand that kosher food doesn't have to be, it can be great. It is great. And I know you can't mix milk with dairy, but it's okay. There's plenty of foods that we can mix, that we can use, that we can put on the plate that makes such beautiful foods. And I've been doing it for a long time now, and I'm really really happy to say that we've kind of trying to help the kosher palate in this city move forward a little bit.
So, how can people make their kosher gourmet? Because I am getting the theme here.
I think what you need to do is think of it as just regular food, right? And stop the it's kosher or labels. All the labels are OU or star or whatever the kosher hextures are. There's plenty of vegetables, and you can use as many different fish as you want. And there's so many foods that are now kosher these days, and the palate can be reached because there's so many distinctive flavors now that you could use that you probably weren't available 10, 12 years ago. There's truffle oils. There's all kinds of different spices now. There's things that are more available and readily available with a hexture on them than there probably used to be years ago, and you were limited to that. So now we just figure out a way to maybe mix a few things or change a few recipes to make them work.
Can you give me an example? Because I'm prepared to be hungry. I'm prepared for my mouth to water.
One of the greatest things that I found is mayonnaise, or a mayonnaise based recipe, or an aioli, or any kind of a demi or a sauce that you can make from a rich stock can be done in the kosher world, because you can do that in your kosher kitchens. You can do that in both dairy and meat. And I like to use parve ingredients in both in all my meals. So I like to mix the parve aspect of it. So I think that, sauces and using different things in that way help to make a better better type meal and better type sauces. You can do a fish with a beurre blanc. You can do you can use margarine and use things to thicken margarine that and use it with your steak or with your beef that you couldn't readily most available before. So I like to experiment with all these things, and we come up with different recipes for them that really help us to make the kosher world. I I don't I don't think of it as kosher food. I just think of it as food. It's just the hextures have to be matched, right? So, and you can't mix milk and meat. No cheeseburgers.
Ah, but what you can do is you can take the fancy sauces and go with whichever you're doing, is what you're saying, yeah?
That's correct. You can take a beautiful piece of sea bass and sear it, do a wonderful basmati rice underneath it. That's maybe a melange of vegetables in it. Take some asparagus and blister some tomatoes and do a lovely beurre blanc. You can do a parsley oil or a parsley pesto rim around the fish and finish it with a baby microgreen salad because you have to wash those, or maybe a mache, or maybe even some frisee, and finish it with that. And you have yourself a gorgeous dish. And you can take a ribeye. What we've done is we've found the whole ribeye. We take off the spinali, right? So if you take off the spinali of a ribeye, it leaves a center like a fillet. We cut those into steaks and we make fillets out of them and sear them. And you could do that on a roasted fingerling potato, little roasted broccoli with garlic chips, and finish it with a wild mushroom. Get a good kosher wine, get a nice cab, reduce the cab, hit it with some wonderful shiitakes or a caramelized onion, and finish it with a wild mushroom caramelized onion demi. And then we take little tobacco onions. We do it in a cornstarch and we do a little crispy onion rings on top. So there's plenty of dishes you can do.
So what you're saying is don't let the kosher um throw you off. Just use ingredients the same way you would use in creating anything.
Correct. And I think a lot of people, the hextures throw them off. And I think it is tough. I'm not, we finally, I mean, we've been looking, we found a hexture the other day on, I don't remember what the product was. Maybe it was sesame oil. And we had a hexture on it, but it wasn't the right one. And we just search and search until we find the right hexture. The hardest thing that we're finding now is good kosher cheese. It's a tough one.
But a challenge I am sure you are up for finding, right?
Well, we make these really great cheesy bagel pizza bites, with mini bagels, and we make them. And we have searched high and low to find the best cheese that we can do, and they've really turned out well. So you have to just do your homework, and you have to be passionate about kosher food like you are any other food. There's plenty of Mediterranean dishes that are fabulous that you can play with. I love med dishes, and I love mess plates. So there's plenty of things that you can do with that as well.
So what is you've given so much great information. What is like just one thing someone who wants to fancy up their cooking? What is one thing that they can do to just start playing with fancier kosher food?
Well, I think that what you need to do is seek out ingredients that match or come close to what you're trying to do, and play around with the dish, play around with your demis, enjoy your stocks, enjoy a good cut of meat, and enjoy a roasted brisket with a pretty jus. Right? That's a great dish. Roast your briskets for 3 to 6 hours on low. Maybe find a good rub that's wonderful with some kosher spices, and really find some things in potatoes and rices and vegetables that you can really doll up your dishes with. And all the vegetables are available, right? So
Right.
you can really make beautiful squash souffles and spinach and roasted corn souffles and all kinds of wonderful things that we do on a regular basis. Haricot verts with blistered tomatoes, and find those vegetables and make your plate beautiful. Do your pestos. Reduce some of your sauces. Find a good ribeye, sear it, cut it on the bias, put it on top of some truffle mashed potatoes, right? Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
I feel like you did your homework before our conversation, thinking, but it could be either that or is this just the way your mind works?
My mind just works this way. It really does, Deborah. Thank you. I do homework every day, right? I research a lot about food. I watch a lot of different types of shows, and I dive into recipes on a regular basis, because kosher is not the only thing I do. That's just a part of my business, right? I have a 13,000 square foot commissary kitchen that I'm sitting in the corporate office now, that we do all kinds of different things, right, on a regular basis.
What is the most outlandish, fun event that you've thrown, or that what comes to mind when I say that?
Um, I just did an event about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and I produced it, with another person, and we brought in the band America. And the band came in for a private function for 150 guests in a venue, and we did three different venues inside the venue of the favorite foods that the client wanted. So we did a barbecue shack where we actually built a barbecue shack inside the venue that was named after him. And then we did an Asian shack with fried rices and different things for her. And in the middle, we built this mini Italian restaurant that you could walk into. And we did pastas and all kinds of different Parmesan chickens. And that event was probably so much fun because not only did we get to hear a band who is, known worldwide for their music, but 150 people got to really enjoy this one venue with all of the clients' favorite foods that they loved, and that everyone just went nuts over, including a concession stand that we built before the concert that had every kind of candy and popcorn you could think of. I've just had the opportunity, Deborah, to do a lot of, I could talk about events a lot. I've been really fortunate to serve a lot of stars, some presidents, and some really cool people in my life. I'm very humbled and fortunate.
Wow. Okay, so now I have to ask, is there something on your cooking bucket list, something that you have never created before that's on your wish list, or have you just done it all?
I never say you've done it all, but I have this new concept that's kind of a burger place. We haven't really launched it yet. It's a small little pop-up. We've probably done it maybe 10 times just to test market it. Every time it went well, but I am really trying to I know this sounds weird, but I love hamburgers and french fries. It's like
Who
one of my
doesn't?
favorite things. So I'm really trying to perfect the hamburger and a fry that really, with a hamburger sauce, a secret sauce that is on the burger that just absolutely, and I just keep researching it and really haven't found that right combination of a brisket, a short rib, and a ribeye burger or a ground. I just haven't found the right combination. The pop ups were incredible. There were ghost kitchens, right? You just pop them up, and we had we had success with them. But I'm a perfectionist, so um, I'm going to keep trying on that. I'm going to keep trying to perfect that hamburger.
Sounds like there are very few people who love food and cooking as much as you do. And I am so thrilled we have this opportunity for you to share your passion. And I'm also very excited. Please keep me posted on your perfect burger because now I've got that in my head as,
Oh
you
my
know.
gosh, it's been a thrill to be with you. I hope I get to see you again sometime, and maybe even one day I'll get to cook for you.
Ooh, well, I am in Los Angeles, so it is a bit of a commute, but you never know, right?
You do never know. You do never know. But it's just been fabulous. Thank you so much. I think there's a lot of people out there who love food as much as I do. I want to believe that. And I know there is because I'm surrounded by a bunch of chef friends who love the food as much as I do.
Amazing. Do you have any final food for thought and inspiration for the chefs who might be tuning in or would be chefs?
You know, I always say the same thing about love what you do and do what you love and keep creating and keep the passion. And all of us are cooking the same thing, kind of, right? We're just trying to come up with new and different ways to cook the filet or the sea bass or a different sauce or a different recipe. So keep exploring and please always love what you do. And this is a hard industry. I think we're all crazy to be in it at some levels. You got to be some kind of crazy guy or girl to be in it. But I think most of us are in it, have the passion and the love for food and people. And the best thing I can say is really enjoy the people because that's the smile on people's faces when they eat our food or enjoy our parties. That's the best you could ever have, and the gratitude I think everybody's looking for, and the inspiration as a chef to know that you've pleased the palate, right?
I love that. Where can people learn more about you and your catering and all that you put out in the world?
Well, I think we're talking about right now. We're coming up with some little kind of quick cooking classes online, fast meals that 30 to 45-minute meals that anybody can do, just quick reels that help people to learn with my favorite products and my favorite knives.
Well, you gotta have a good knife because if you don't have a good knife, everything's gonna take forever and you're not gonna be having fun cooking. Am I right?
You are right. My knife bag has been with me for 20 years, and I'm not. One time I thought I lost it, and you would have thought that, it was the end of the world. I've been collecting knives, and one of the things that I do is when I pass a chef on who's worked for me for a long time, I give one of my knives out of my bag. It's a tradition. Some of the really older ones I don't, but my knife bag is really my tools of the trade, and I love that tradition that I've kept up with passing on a knife that meant a lot to me to the next generation of people who are going on to bigger and better things. I've been doing it for years.
Oh, that's lovely. What website can people go to learn more about you?
It's the spiceoflifecatering.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chef Jeffrey Kollinger, for joining me today. Thank you for tuning in to Taste Buds with Deb. Don't miss an episode. You can subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and or your favorite podcast platform. And you can go to jewishjournal.com/podcast to read the articles that go with each conversation. And we're going to have a surprise recipe that goes with this one. So be sure to check it out. And you can learn more at tastebudswithdeb.com. So gourmet it up. Until next time, bon appetit.